Hello, this is Professor Tiroff. I'm just going to briefly go through an example of a literature review paper. There is an announcement for this week, week 6, with a link to this PDF copy paper, and then this particular YouTube video will go through that. So first off, I want to point out the title page. Notice that there's the running head listed here. Notice that there's the page number. Your title page is always your first page, and then there is the name of the paper, the author's name, and then Upper Iowa University. Then on subsequent pages you will see the running head without the words running head and again page numbers. The next thing you'll see is this particular part here is the title again of the paper, and then you will notice that in bold lettering is titles to every section. These are level 1 headings, and if you look in your AP book on page 62, it goes through the different levels of headings. For this paper, level 1 headings are required. This is helps the flow of your paper. It helps the reader to read through and understand where you're going. Without these level 1 headings, it is very difficult to read through a paper and to understand where you're going. So, and you will also notice that these level 1 headings are from your outline. So, outline has the purpose of the review. There is your heading. So you don't have to come up with headings. The headings are already there for you. You can simply use them. Like I said, level 1 headings are required in this paper. If you want to use level 2 headings, that's fine. There are no level 2 headings in this particular example. However, you can go to your APA book and you can see different levels of headings. There's also a sample paper in the APA book, so you can see some more uses of different types of headings. As we're going through here, the purpose of the review, you're basically telling the reader why you're doing this review, but also it's an introduction to what you're trying to tell the reader. What are you trying to discuss? Okay, so that's the purpose. Then you'll notice how it kind of goes through, and they talked about how they got the research information. And again, like I said, it just kind of really goes down through the outline. Under the themes of the articles, I want to make special note that a conceptual framework, theory, or model is mentioned in a research study in the abstract, and then there will be a section of it in the paper discussing that particular model or conceptual framework or theory. For example, a specific model or theory would be Watson's theory of caring. That would be a specific one. That a study actually used that model to as a framework for their study. Again, if it is not mentioned, then as I've highlighted here in this particular one, it states there are no conceptual frameworks, theories, or models. So be aware of that. You'll notice the different citations here. Any citation is like I have here highlighted up to 6 is you need to list all of the authors the first time you use that citation, and then every citation after that you can do et al. So you'll notice here it says Scott, Rogers, Huang, and Zhang. That's the first usage of that citation, and then after that you can use Scott, et al. And the publication year. A couple other things to point out. In this particular paper, the author states 3 of the studies. Typically when you say 3 of the studies, 4 of the studies, however, you need to list somewhere, typically towards the end, which studies you're talking about. In this particular example, the student has stated that 3 of the studies utilized questionnaires as the method of data collection, while the 4th study by Abdar et al. 2014 relied on personal interviews. So although the 3 studies are not listed here, the 4th study is, and that's fine. Since you're only using 4 studies in this paper, I think I can determine the other 3. So as long as it's somehow denoted what studies you're talking about, this is one way that you can do it. Okay. Again, one other citation I wanted to show you is, it says here Abdal et al. 2014, and then they have quoted information, and then there's the page number at the end. This is author or instructor preference, I prefer to have this information at the beginning and the page number at the end. Some prefer to have it all at the end. Again, it's instructor preference. For myself, though, however, I prefer to have it look this way. So as you're talking about your articles, you're doing some comparing. You're looking like back up in here, you're talking about the themes of the articles. Look through your articles and see if you can discover a theme. That might be a word, it might be a phrase, it might be, you know, these two articles stated that in this particular paper, 8-hour shifts are better than 12-hour shifts, and these two articles stated that 12-hour shifts are better than 8-hour shifts. However you want to do that. But just look at those and what are the commonalities? Basically, what are the similarities within those articles and what are non-similarities between those articles? Okay. This one has limitations and gaps, and again, look at your matrix to determine what's a limitation and what is a gap. If this is not mentioned in any of your articles, you need to state this. So, if 3 of your articles have limitations listed but another one doesn't, you need to state that. Then we'll come down here, and again, you can read through this. There is a conclusion. You always have a conclusion. So if you remember in 305, you had an introduction and you had a conclusion. Sometimes it's easier to write the conclusion than you can write the rest of the paper on top of that. So the conclusion basically is kind of bringing your paper full circle and just briefly kind of going over what you talked about and bringing it to a nice closure. So that's the conclusion. Now the reference page, you'll notice that reference is listed in the middle here. You will notice that these are in alphabetical order by the primary author. Make sure that you do not alphabetize these authors of the article. Alphabetizing your references means you're alphabetizing by the first author. Do not alphabetize within the particular study. The purpose of having it the way it's written is because the first author is typically the primary researcher. So you cannot change all the authors around to make it alphabetized. That's not what alphabetizing your reference list is. Alphabetizing your reference list is based on the first author. So you will notice in this particular one here, there is a number of authors. So you'll notice, see, there's a number of authors listed. So this person listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the first 6 authors. You put a period, a comma, you put 3 dots, and then listed the last author. That's how you would do it if you have more than 6 authors. If you do not have more than 6 authors, then you need to list them all out. Notice these are all journals. So there's the title, there's the publication year, there is the title. Notice that the first letter of the first word is capitalized. The rest of them are not, unless it's a proper name. And then any letter after a colon is also alphabetized. Again, you only make the other words, or not alphabetized, capitalized, sorry. You only make the words, the first letter of each word capitalized if it's a proper name. For example, like right here. The word, the country Iran is a proper name, so you would capitalize that. The title of your particular publication is listed. It's italicized. Every word except, like, you know, of, the, are not capitalized, but the rest of these words are capitalized, the first letter. Then there's the volume number, which is also italicized. The issue, if there is one, and then the page number. This particular paper example does not have the DOI number. If you have a DOI number, that would be listed right after the pages of that particular study. So again, this is the reference listing. APA counts in this paper. You will get extensive feedback when you turn in the draft this week. And I will attempt to get those back to you by Wednesday of week 7, so you can look those feedback over. If there's a significant amount of issues, I will contact you and we will go over your paper. Please use this video and the example to help you write your paper. And again, if you have questions, please, please, please contact me, and I'm happy to go over it with you. You can contact me by email or phone. Typically, my cell phone's the best. So if you have a question, please do not ask your question. So I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope you will learn a lot from doing this paper. Again, this is just foundational stuff, but it gives you an idea of what you got to really look at when you're looking at research.